The Galactic Council's most feared assassin squad moved through the abandoned space station like shadows given form. The Vorthen Strike team had eliminated entire royal families across 12 systems. Their leader, Zex Kai, possessed 4 arms that could move faster than most beings could think. His second-in-command, a crystalline being called Shard, could phase through solid matter at will. The third member, Vex, belonged to a species that saw in 17 different spectrums of light. They were hunting one human. The target had somehow infiltrated the hegemony's most secure facility and stolen classified information about their planned invasion of Earth. According to intelligence reports, the human possessed no cybernetic enhancements, no genetic modifications, and no advanced technology beyond standard Earth equipment. The Galactic Council considered this impossible. No unenhanced being could penetrate their security systems. Zex Kai examined the breach point where the human had entered. The molecular locks showed no signs of tampering. The energy barriers remained intact. Even the gravity sensors detected nothing unusual during the intrusion window. It was as if the human had simply appeared inside the facility. "Impossible," Shard whispered, his crystalline form shimmering as he analyzed the scene. "Our scanners show the human left through this same breach point 30 minutes ago. He should still be in the station somewhere." Vex studied the corridor with his enhanced vision, searching across multiple light frequencies. "I detect no heat signature, no electromagnetic disturbance, no molecular displacement. Whatever this human is, he moves without disturbing the environment around him." The 3 assassins spread out through the station's labyrinthine corridors. Each possessed abilities that made them legendary across the galaxy. Zex Kai could strike 18 times in a single second. Shard could become incorporeal and pass through any barrier. Vex could see through solid objects and track prey across vast distances. None of them realized they were being watched. Kenji Nakamura pressed himself against the ceiling of the maintenance shaft, moving with absolute silence through the narrow space. His breathing remained controlled and steady. Every muscle in his body stayed perfectly relaxed despite the awkward position. He had trained for situations exactly like this since childhood in the mountains of rural Japan. His grandfather had been a real ninja, one of the last practitioners of true shinobi arts before the world modernized. While other children played video games, Kenji learned to move without sound, to become invisible in plain sight, to read his environment like a book written in subtle signs. When the aliens first made contact with Earth, most humans marveled at their advanced technology and superhuman abilities. Kenji saw something different. He noticed how these powerful beings relied entirely on their enhanced senses and technological aids. They had forgotten how to truly observe. They had lost the ability to trust their instincts. The stolen data chip remained secured in a hidden pocket of his simple black outfit. The information contained complete details of the hegemony's invasion plans, including weak points in their fleet formations and the locations of their command ships. Earth's military leaders needed this intelligence to mount any effective defense. Below him, Zex Kai moved through the corridor with fluid grace, his 4 arms ready to strike at any moment. The alien's enhanced hearing could detect a pin dropping from 50 meters away, but he could not hear the human who moved like water through the air above him. Kenji had studied the station's layout during his infiltration. He knew that the assassins would split up to cover more ground. They thought like hunters pursuing prey, but Kenji thought like the shadow that prey cast. He did not run from them. Instead, he flowed around them like darkness flowing around light. The maintenance shaft connected to dozens of different sections throughout the station. Kenji used this network to remain always one step ahead of his pursuers. When Shard phased through a bulkhead to check a storage room, Kenji was already sliding silently through a ventilation duct 3 levels above. When Vex scanned a corridor with his multi-spectrum vision, Kenji had positioned himself in the one blind spot the alien never thought to check. Ancient ninja techniques proved more effective than any advanced technology. Zex Kai's enhanced speed meant nothing if he ran in the wrong direction. Shard's ability to phase through matter became useless when he could not find his target. Vex's superior vision failed him when faced with someone who understood how to use environment and shadow as allies. The 3 assassins began to grow frustrated as minutes turned to hours without any sign of their quarry. They had never failed a mission before. Their reputation across the galaxy struck fear into the hearts of enemies and allies alike. But they had never hunted someone who had learned to become nothing more than a whisper in the darkness, someone who moved not with superhuman speed or strength, but with perfect understanding of how to remain unseen in a universe that had forgotten what true stealth meant. Ghost made the first contact, his suppressed rifle whispering death through the morning air. The subsonic round punched through the gap in Corvani armor plating that no alien engineer had considered vulnerable, the joint between shoulder and chest protection. The warrior dropped silently, his plasma rifle discharging harmlessly into the canopy above. Contact confirmed. Ghost reported, already shifting position. Hostile down. These aren't human. Soap. Armor technology beyond current classification. The Corvani strike team froze in confusion. Their companions' life signs had simply vanished from tactical displays. No energy discharge detected. No obvious threat identified. Commander Zektar's mandibles twitched nervously as he scanned for the source of attack. Report, Tech My, he hissed into the comm channel. Silence answered him. Soap scope tracked a second target moving through dense ferns 50 meters from Ghost position. The alien's confident stride spoke of a predator and used to being hunted. The Scottish sergeant adjusted for wind and elevation, his breathing steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his system. Second target acquired, Soap murmured, his finger finding familiar purchase on the trigger. Taking the shot. The .338 Lapua Magnum round traveled at nearly 3 times the speed of sound, its tungsten core designed to penetrate modern body armor. It struck the Corvani warrior center mass, the impact transferring enough kinetic energy to shatter the alien's internal skeletal structure despite his advanced protective systems. Vexai watched her subordinate crumple to the forest floor, his armor sparking with electrical feedback. Panic crept in her voice as she reported to Zektar. Commander, we have casualties. Unknown weapons technology. Energy signatures don't match any database records. The Corvani had encountered primitive projectile weapons before, usually crude chemical propulsion systems that barely scratched their armor plating. These impacts carried impossible kinetic force, delivered with surgical precision that suggested advanced targeting systems. Impossible, Zektar snarled, his confidence wavering. Planetary intelligence indicated medieval-level technology. Chemical propulsion at best. Ghost was already moving again, his ghillie suit allowing him to melt into the forest understory like a specter. 22 targets remained, but their formation was breaking down as confusion spread through their ranks. The aliens were clustering together, abandoning tactical dispersal in favor of mutual protection. Exactly the response human doctrine predicted from overconfident enemies facing unexpected resistance. They're grouping up, Ghost observed, circling toward higher ground. Textbook mistake. These things have never faced real opposition. Soap maintained overwatch from his concealed position, counting thermal signatures through his scope. The aliens were larger than intelligence had suggested, their equipment clearly superior to human technology, but their tactics revealed critical weaknesses. They moved like apex predators accustomed to easy prey, not soldiers prepared for determined resistance. Ghost, I count a command structure forming around the biggest signature. Central figure appears to be coordinating movement. Copy that. Taking command out first. Zektar was issuing orders when Ghost's third shot took him through the throat, the bullet finding the one vulnerable point in Corvani helmet design. The massive alien toppled backward, his plasma rifle clattering against ancient tree roots. The remaining Corvani warriors erupted in chaotic chatter, their formation collapsing entirely as leadership vacuum paralyzed their decision-making process. Subcommander Vexai found herself thrust into command of an increasingly desperate situation. Scatter formation, she screamed into the comm channel. Unknown sniper positions. Implement evasion protocol 7. But the humans had studied alien tactics for the past hour, watching movement patterns and identifying weaknesses in their prey's psychological profile. Ghost and Soap had fought against overwhelming odds before, understanding that superior firepower meant nothing without superior positioning and tactics. They're trying to spread out, Soap reported, tracking multiple targets through his scope. Time to introduce them to human ingenuity. Ghost pulled a fragmentation grenade from his tactical vest, calculating trajectory and timing with practiced precision. The explosive landed in the center of the largest concentration of aliens, its detonation sending steel fragments in all directions. 3 Corvani warriors dropped immediately, their advanced armor proving inadequate against simple shrapnel moving at high velocity. The forest erupted with alien screams of pain and confusion. The survivors fired wildly into the trees, their plasma weapons leaving scorch marks on bark and stone, but finding no targets. The humans had become phantoms, striking without warning and vanishing before retaliation could be organized. Vexhai realized with growing horror that her elite strike team was being systematically dismantled by 2 primitive opponents using inferior technology. The impossible was happening. The Corvani were losing. Desperation drove the surviving Corvani to abandon their hunting formation entirely. 18 warriors remained of the original 24, their confidence shattered by an enemy that refused to behave like conquered prey. Vexhai ordered a concentrated assault on the last known human positions, gambling that overwhelming firepower could flush their tormentors from hiding. Plasma bolts seared through the forest, superheating tree sap until massive firs exploded in showers of steam and splinters. The aliens advanced in a tight wedge formation, their weapons cycling at maximum discharge rate. Wherever the humans were hiding, they would be forced to reveal themselves or burn alive in the inferno. Ghost felt the heat wash over his position as a plasma burst missed his head by mere centimeters. The air itself seemed to catch fire around him, but he remained motionless until the barrage passed. These aliens relied too heavily on their energy weapons, creating massive signatures that revealed their positions while blinding their own sensors with electromagnetic interference. So, they've gone full automatic, tracking multiple heat sources converging on the clearing below your position. Copy that, Ghost. Time to show them why humans learned to think before they learned to build plasma rifles. The Scottish sergeant had spent the past 10 minutes preparing a surprise that would have impressed medieval siege engineers. Using climbing rope from his pack and leveraging the forest's natural architecture, he had rigged a deadfall trap using a massive fallen Douglas fir. The log weighed nearly 2 tons, suspended 15 feet above a natural choke point where the aliens would be forced to funnel their advance. Soap waited until the lead elements of the Corvani formation entered the kill zone, then triggered his improvised weapon. The massive trunk crashed down with the force of a sledgehammer, crushing 3 aliens instantly and sending the others diving for cover. The impact shook the ground like a minor earthquake, toppling smaller trees and creating a barrier that split the alien force in half. Deadfall deployed. Soap reported with grim satisfaction. 3 confirmed kills. Remaining forces divided and disorganized. Vexhai stared in disbelief at the carnage before her. The humans were using the forest itself as a weapon, turning primitive materials into instruments of death. Her warriors, trained to fight against energy weapons and technological warfare, had no protocols for dealing with enemies who employed natural resources as tactical assets. These primitives fight like animals, she hissed in her comm unit. No honor, no structure. They use terrain like cowards. Ghost smiled grimly at the alien's frustrated transmission, picked up by his electronic warfare equipment. These creatures didn't understand that humans had perfected the art of asymmetric warfare through millennia of conflict against superior forces. Every human military academy taught the lessons learned by guerrilla fighters who had toppled empires using nothing but determination and tactical superiority. The remaining aliens were now split into 2 groups of 7 and 8 warriors respectively. Ghost moved to engage the smaller group, while Soap repositioned to handle the larger concentration. The humans had turned the hunters into isolated prey, using mobility and terrain knowledge to maintain tactical advantage despite being outnumbered nearly 10-1. Ghost's assault on the 7-warrior group showcased human adaptability at its finest. He used improvised explosive devices created from equipment in his survival kit, turning battery packs and chemical compounds into directional charges. The aliens found themselves facing an enemy who could create weapons from seemingly innocent materials, each piece of human equipment potentially lethal when properly applied. 2 more Corvani fell to Ghost's improvised mines, Their advanced armor no protection against high-explosive compounds that channeled blast force through shaped charges. The survivors began to display what human psychologists would recognize as combat stress. Their movements became erratic, their communications fragmented. Meanwhile, Soap engaged the larger group with a combination of precision marksmanship and psychological warfare. He used his knowledge of alien communication frequencies to broadcast recordings of their fallen comrades' death screams, creating an audio environment that undermined morale and suggested the humans could strike from anywhere at any time. Unknown enemy capabilities exceed all parameters, Vexai transmitted to her remaining subordinates, her voice cracking with strain. Request immediate reinforcement from orbital assets. But the Corvani command ship had lost contact with the surface team hours ago, the humans' electronic warfare capabilities far more sophisticated than anticipated. Ghost and Soap had been disrupting alien communications since the engagement began, using techniques developed to fight technologically superior opponents. The aliens were learning a harsh lesson about human warfare. Technology meant nothing without the tactical flexibility to adapt when plans failed. The Corvani had spent 3 millennia fighting enemies who relied on similar technological approaches, never encountering opponents who treated every engagement as a puzzle to be solved rather than a contest of firepower. As the forest battle entered its 3rd hour, the remaining 13 Corvani warriors found themselves trapped in a nightmare scenario. The humans had become ghosts in their own environment, striking without warning and vanishing before retaliation could be organized. Every tree could hide a sniper. Every shadow might conceal an ambush. The galaxy's most feared warriors were learning to fear 2 humans armed with primitive weapons and superior tactics. The psychological breaking point came when Soap demonstrated the human capacity for improvised chemical warfare. Using materials from his medical kit and survival equipment, he created a crude but effective smokescreen that interfered with Corvani thermal imaging while delivering an aerosol compound that attacked their respiratory systems. The aliens had never encountered biological warfare adapted to their specific physiology, but human combat medics learned to analyze enemy weaknesses and exploit them. Soap's improvised chemical attack sent 4 Corvani warriors into respiratory distress, their advanced filters unable to process compounds designed to target their specific metabolic requirements. Biological attack confirmed. Vexai choked in her comm unit. Her own breathing labored despite protective systems. These humans possess advanced chemical weapons technology. Recommend immediate evacuation protocols. Ghost used the confusion created by Soap's chemical assault to eliminate 3 more targets with close-range combat techniques. The aliens discovered that their plasma weapons were nearly useless in melee combat, their energy discharge rates too slow to track human movement patterns. Ghost's combat knife found gaps in armor joints with surgical precision, each strike calculated to disable critical systems or sever vital connections. The Corvani had trained for centuries in energy weapon combat, but possessed no experience fighting opponents who closed a blade range. Human close-quarters battle techniques, refined through thousands of years of warfare, proved devastatingly effective against aliens who had forgotten that combat sometimes came down to individual skill rather than technological superiority. Retreat formation. Vexai screamed, her elite strike team reduced to 6 panic survivors. Fall back to extraction coordinates. Mission parameters no longer viable. But Ghost and Soap had anticipated the alien withdrawal, using their superior knowledge of local terrain to position themselves between the Corvani and their extraction point. The humans had transformed the entire forest into a tactical maze, channeling enemy movement into predetermined kill zones. Soap's sniper rifle spoke again, dropping the rearmost alien with a headshot that penetrated helmet plating through the visual sensor array. The Corvani helmet technology, designed to provide maximum protection against energy weapons, proved vulnerable to kinetic projectiles applied at precisely calculated angles. The remaining 5 aliens found themselves trapped in a natural amphitheater formed by granite outcroppings and fallen trees. Ghost had herded them like livestock into a position where escape routes were limited and defensive positions non-existent. The humans controlled the high ground, with clear sight lines to any movement within the kill zone. This position is compromised, Vexai reported, her voice barely controlled. Humans have demonstrated tactical capabilities beyond initial assessment. They appear to possess detailed knowledge of local geography and advanced strategic planning abilities. Ghost activated his throat microphone, broadcasting on the alien communication frequency his equipment had been monitoring. Speaking in measured tones, he delivered a message that would haunt Corvani military doctrine for generations. Unknown hostiles, this is Lieutenant Ghost of the British Special Air Service. You have invaded sovereign Earth territory and engaged military personnel in unprovoked combat. Surrender immediately or face total elimination. The aliens froze in shock at hearing their own language spoken by their human adversary. The psychological impact of discovering that their prey possessed linguistic capabilities and had been monitoring their communications shattered the last remnants of Corvani confidence. Vexai realized with crystalline clarity that everything the Corvani believed about human capabilities had been catastrophically wrong. These weren't primitive beings struggling with basic technology. They were sophisticated warriors employing deliberate tactical deception to lure their enemies into overconfidence. Impossible, she whispered. Planetary intelligence indicated pre-space flight civilization. Category C threat assessment. Your intelligence was deliberately manipulated. Ghost continued, his voice carrying the quiet confidence of a predator addressing cornered prey. Earth has been aware of extraterrestrial surveillance for decades. We've been preparing for contact. The truth struck the surviving Corvani like a physical blow. The humans hadn't been surprised by alien contact. They'd been expecting it. Every aspect of this engagement had been designed to study Corvani capabilities while demonstrating human tactical superiority. Soap's voice joined the transmission, his Scottish accent adding an almost conversational tone to the psychological warfare. Your mistake was assuming that technology determines combat effectiveness. Humans have been fighting superior forces since we learned to make fire. We're quite good at it. The remaining 5 aliens huddled together in the center of the natural arena, their plasma weapons trained on the surrounding forest. They could see nothing, hear nothing except the occasional rustle of wind through pine needles, but they knew death was watching them from every shadow. Vexai made her final transmission to the Corvani fleet, her words destined to change the course of galactic warfare forever. Mission failed. Human capabilities exceed all projections. These beings are apex predators disguised as prey. Recommend immediate strategic reassessment of Earth threat classification. The message would never reach its intended recipients. Ghost had been jamming alien communications since the engagement began, ensuring that news of human capabilities would die with the strike team. Earth's defensive preparations would remain secret until humanity chose to reveal them on its own terms. As the forest settled into ominous quiet, 5 of the galaxy's most feared warriors waited for death to claim them, while 2 humans prepared to complete the systematic elimination of every witness to this encounter. The end came with surgical precision that would have impressed military historians across the galaxy. Ghost and Soap had spent the final hour of the engagement studying their remaining opponents, analyzing movement patterns, and identifying psychological vulnerabilities that could be exploited for maximum efficiency. The last 5 Corvani warriors died within 30 seconds of each other, victims of coordinated human teamwork that treated combat as both science and art. Ghost eliminated 3 targets using a combination of explosive devices and precision rifle fire, while Soap's Overwatch position allowed him to neutralize the remaining 2 aliens with shots that would have been impossible without intimate knowledge of Corvani anatomy. Vexai survived longest, her enhanced armor and tactical experience buying her precious seconds of life. She managed to transmit one final message before Ghost's knife found the junction between her helmet and chest plating. Tell the Empire, humans are not prey. The forest fell silent, except for the gentle whisper of wind through evergreen branches. 24 of the galaxy's most elite warriors lay dead among the ferns and fallen logs, their advanced technology scattered like broken toys across the forest floor. Ghost methodically collected alien equipment, while Soap maintained Overwatch, both men following protocols developed specifically for extraterrestrial contact scenarios. Every piece of Corvani technology would be analyzed by human scientists, adding to humanity's growing database of galactic military capabilities. Equipment recovery complete. Ghost reported into his secure communication system. All hostiles neutralized. No human casualties. Alien technology secured for analysis. The response came immediately from a location deep beneath the Colorado Mountains, where humanity's true military command had been monitoring the engagement through satellite surveillance and electronic warfare intercepts. Excellent work, Ghost Team. Proceed to extraction coordinates. Debriefing scheduled in 6 hours. Soap dismantled his sniper position with practiced efficiency, ensuring no evidence remained of human tactics or capabilities. The alien bodies would be retrieved by specialized teams, their technology reverse-engineered to enhance Earth's defensive preparations. Think they'll send more? Soap asked as they prepared to leave the killing ground. Ghost surveyed the carnage with professional satisfaction. Eventually, but not for a while. And when they do come, they'll come prepared for war instead of a hunting expedition. The two men disappeared into the forest like ghosts, leaving behind only questions that would puzzle Corvani investigators for decades. When the next alien scout ship arrived to investigate their missing strike team, they would find no trace of the weapons or tactics that had decimated their elite forces. Months later, intelligence networks across 17 star systems buzzed with rumors of a Category C world that had somehow eliminated an entire Corvani strike team without apparent technology or resistance. The reports seemed impossible. 24 elite warriors vanishing without trace on a primitive planet barely capable of orbital flight. The Corvani High Command launched 3 separate investigation fleets, each finding only empty forests and scattered equipment. No energy weapon signatures, no evidence of advanced technology, nothing to explain how a backward species had achieved total victory against overwhelming odds. Unknown to the aliens, human satellites tracked every investigation ship, recording their search patterns and analyzing their capabilities. Earth's defensive networks grew stronger with each alien visit, preparing for the inevitable day when first contact would become open warfare. In secure briefing rooms across Earth, military analysts studied footage of Ghost and Soap's engagement, identifying tactical innovations that would reshape human military doctrine. The two soldiers had proven that technology alone couldn't guarantee victory. The human adaptability and tactical creativity remained decisive factors in combat. The Corvani Empire quietly reclassified Earth as a Category A threat, recommending that future contact be avoided until overwhelming force could be assembled. They had learned, at the cost of an entire strike team, that humanity was far more dangerous than appearances suggested. But, in their arrogance, the Corvani failed to understand the most important lesson of their defeat. They assumed that Ghost and Soap represented the pinnacle of human military capability, not realizing that the two soldiers were merely examples of what Earth could produce when threatened. Across human space, in training facilities hidden from alien observation, thousands of soldiers studied the techniques that had proven successful against extraterrestrial forces. The galaxy had revealed its existence to humanity, but in doing so, it had awakened a sleeping giant that would never again be caught unprepared. Years would pass before the Corvani worked up the courage to return to Earth, and when they finally did, they would discover that the humans who had once seemed like easy prey had become apex predators in their own right. The two men who walked out of that forest had not just survived an alien attack. They had fired the opening shots in humanity's war for galactic dominance. The kill squad that entered Earth's wilderness had learned the hardest lesson in the universe. Never underestimate the species that invented warfare as an art form.